Hello, and thank you for watching this Corn Belt Regional Forecast. I'm Andrew Pritchard, meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. So we take a look at the Jetstream here on this Friday morning, this first day of November. We've got split flow across the Pacific Ocean. We've got a screaming trough right here. That is the storm system that moved through the central U.S. over the last couple of days, finally bringing precipitation to an end, but not before delivering some snow to parts of the Corn Belt, parts of the Midwest. We've got another trough that is making its way through the flow right now. That is bringing some light precipitation to the northern plains and may bring another snowflake or two to parts of the eastern Corn Belt overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning. As we head into the next few days, into next week, we're going to set up a pattern something like this again. Split flow across the Pacific Ocean and the northwest flow screaming in from the Canadian prairies, really coming all the way from Alaska into the Corn Belt here. And that is going to be a much cooler pattern across not only the Corn Belt, but well up into parts of Canada. As we look at the next 10 days, our temperature anomalies here, really almost the entire lower 48, dealing with below average temperatures over the next 5 days. And then as we head into next week, once again, really locking in this region from the Canadian prairie, we're really all the way back into western or eastern Alaska, I should say, and then stretching all the way into parts of the Corn Belt and into the northeast region. So a large area of North America here, a big chunk of Canada and the U.S. going to be, again, with flow coming out of the northwest, just dealing with reinforcing shots of this colder air coming out of the north over the next week or so. This is also a much drier pattern. Again, that's pretty good news after we've dealt with several days of very heavy precipitation over this region. We'll get a quieter pattern in here, one that doesn't support those well-defined storm systems. Really just watching for little clipper-like systems to come out of the northwest, delivering perhaps opportunities for some light precipitation across primarily northern plains and upper Midwest Great Lakes areas of the Corn Belt. Now, again, as we look at the last 7 days, taking a look at the impacts of last weekend storm system that came from parts of the southern plains, the Gulf Coast, and then lifted north across parts of the eastern Corn Belt, and then the storm system of the last 2 to 3 days, dumping a lot of rain across a big chunk of the Gulf Coast, northward into the eastern Corn Belt, and then again some snow across parts of Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, into Illinois, and surrounding areas. We take a look at the snow depth here on Friday morning. Again, here is the swath from the last couple of days. Our office located in Champaign, Illinois, right about here, and the snow even exceeding my expectations here at some points. You know, we knew we would see the snowflakes flying. We knew it would be our first snowflakes of the year. But what surprised us here was where you see the snow stacking up on the grass there. We actually managed to accumulate several inches of that heavy cement-like glop on the grassy surfaces and the vegetation there. The roadways staying clear, but really an impressive storm system as the cold air came in on the backside, changing that precipitation over to snow and delivering a swath of accumulating snow on Halloween across parts of central Illinois and surrounding areas of the Midwest. And so trick-or-treating in the snow, that was a first for me, and you wouldn't be sad if it was a last. We'll take a look at the satellite picture then on Friday morning. Here is the storm system now making its way across the northeast region, brought severe storms to parts of the east coast yesterday, and precipitation to the northeast, and then that swath of snow as the cold air came in on the backside. Now let's take the drawings off and let's turn our attention to this little system right now making its way through the northern plains into the upper Midwest, delivering some light snow and light rain showers, and that will continue to make its way off to the east, delivering perhaps again a couple snowflakes and maybe a raindrop or two across parts of the eastern Corn Belt here as we head into the overnight. Probably going to be more focused in this area here would be a better way to draw that area here. But again, not talking about accumulation, not talking about any serious impacts, as this system really is quite moisture starved, trailing behind that last storm system that really took the moisture with it along the east coast and then down into the Gulf Coast. So looking at the radar picture then as we wake up on Friday morning, you're seeing these subtle returns here. Again, those are some light snow showers, maybe some light rain showers moving across parts of Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota into Wisconsin, and those will continue to move off to the east and to the south as we head through the day today into the weekend. Now looking at the temperatures, the warmest spot actually across the northern plains right now, where temperatures are in the mid-30s. I guess as we talk about the Corn Belt, the warmest spot would be Florida, as is typical this time of year. 20s though across central Illinois into northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin, and that is made even worse where we've got snow on the ground, but 24 degrees here in Champaign, Illinois as we wake up, and that is the coolest morning of the season so far. Now as we take a look at the 500 millibar height and vorticity pattern across North America just heading into next week. It's really going to illustrate the pattern here where we'll be watching for these little subtle disturbances within the flow coming over this ridge and then riding the jet stream just northwest to southeast from the prairie into the Corn Belt. We'll go ahead, I'll take the drawings off, and we'll just take this through the next few days. And this, again, it just illustrates the upper level pattern, and we'll talk about what happens at the lower levels with a pattern like this here on the next slide. But just watching these little subtle disturbances within the flow. You see one here making its way through the prairie, diving into the Corn Belt, and each one of these, that's going to bring, the chance for some cloud cover, just enough lift to kick off maybe some snow flurries, some light rain showers, but a pattern like this is very moisture starved across the Corn Belt. As we look at the precipitable water values here, again, we'll bring it back to today. Here is all the moisture being pulled up in advance of the storm system yesterday, but then on the back side, you see all the dry air coming in from Canada, really squeegeeing and really resetting the air mass across the entire continent here, the entire lower 48, I should say, the entire country. So as we just take this out through the weekend, taking it into early next week, you see the deep moisture really trapped here down near the Gulf Coast with reinforcing shots of that cooler, drier air coming in here. So each storm system that comes in from the northwest, each one of these little clipper systems really kind of starved for moisture until at least we get to mid to late next week. And then again, we've had some disagreements, some uncertainties with the long-range models, so we'll hold off on too much with the details in the 2-week time frame, but it's not until that time frame that we really start to draw some moisture back northward from the Gulf of Mexico into the Corn Belt. So really, over the next few days, once again, bringing it back, this is a much drier air mass across the Corn Belt, one that's not going to be supportive of significant storm systems. Taking the high-resolution NAM model through the weekend, again, here's this first little system, subtle little wave. Well, it's not so subtle, but it's moisture-starved, so it appears subtle when we look at the precipitation forecast. Just bringing it back here, watching this thing travel through parts of the upper Midwest during the day today, overnight tonight, perhaps a snowflake or two flying across parts of central Illinois into the Great Lakes. As this moves through the area Saturday morning, maybe the eastern Corn Belt here, seeing a snowflake or two as we wake up on Saturday morning. Another subtle little system tries to drop into parts of the northern plains as we get into Sunday, again bringing maybe some light snow showers, some light rain showers. Really across this corridor here is where we'll be watching for those systems to track from northwest to southeast, bringing just light snow flurries as each one of them makes its way through the region. GFS precipitation forecast, this will illustrate it once again. Watching this well-defined storm system, the last of which for at least the next 5 to 7 days making its way off to the east, across the northeast, and out across the Atlantic Ocean as we head into the day today. We'll bring this back, get it going through the weekend, and what you're going to see is just this parade of subtle disturbances coming out of the prairie, bringing opportunities for some very light snow showers, maybe some light rain showers across the northern plains into the upper Midwest as we head through the weekend into early next week. And again, it's not until we get beyond the week 1 into the week 2 time frame that we see some suggestion that maybe we'll start to draw some deeper moisture northward from the Gulf of Mexico and be able to reestablish a pattern where we're seeing well-defined storm systems, developing and tracking across the country. But in the next 5 to 7 days, this is the pattern. It's these very subtle disturbances coming out of the prairies of Canada, bringing just light opportunities for some precipitation across primarily portions of the northern plains into the upper Midwest as we head through the next week. Just taking a look at the probability then of getting at least 3 inches of snow accumulating here from the GFS model, illustrating the pattern once again, focusing in on the northern plains into the Great Lakes, watching these systems drop out of the Canadian prairie into the northern U.S., just looking through Wednesday, so taking this in through the next 5 days or so, and we're looking at the probability once again of 3 inches or more. And even over the next, 5 days, we're just pegging these lower values here with, 25 to 50% chance of getting 3 inches or 3 inches or so of snow. So once again, maybe daily opportunities for some flurries across some areas here of the Dakotas into the upper Midwest, but not talking about significant accumulations, just talking about reinforcing shots of cooler air with these. Illustrating it once more, just looking at the accumulated forecasts of precipitation here from the GFS, and that again shows you, as we'll go ahead and we'll bring it back here and let this play in through midweek. We're in Sunday now, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, at least the next 5 days, really again focusing in on this corridor here for those light precipitation opportunities. And then perhaps as we get into the week 1 to week 2 time frame, watching for moisture to start trying to feed in around the backside of this pattern and try to sneak into parts of the southern plains into maybe the Ohio River Valley. That may be the next area that we need to watch for active weather as we head into the week 2 time frame. But again, those are discussions for next week. Looking at the European model here, the temperature anomaly forecast will bring this back, and that's going to illustrate here the colder pattern overall. But I do want to point out there will be warmer days mixed in here. Here's the first shot of colder air making its way into the region following the storm system here today. The one that's impacted the region over the last 48 to 72 hours. Moderating some as we head into the weekend. Another shot of cooler air, though, coming in on the backside of the weekend. Moderating some perhaps as we head into early next week. And then here comes another shot. You're just seeing these reloading shots of cooler air coming in from the prairie. But what I want to show is that at times in advance of each of these storms, we could get just a little push of warmer air on the leading edge. So primarily portions of the eastern Corn Belt here, perhaps mixing up a warmer day or two over the next week or so. But the overall pattern here is to kind of reload shots of cooler air, and we draw a red or a blue here to kind of illustrate the color. But reloading shots of cooler air pushing into the Corn Belt, perhaps with warmer days or two mixed in advance of each of those. But really, the pattern seems locked in over the next 7 to 10 days, and it's a cooler pattern across the Corn Belt. So we'll finish then looking at high temperatures as we go through the weekend into early next week. Your highs for the day on Friday, mostly in the 30s with some 40s and 50s off to the south of where we saw that snow across the southern plains into parts of the mid-south. But by and large, everyone a bit chilly for the day today. High temperatures on Saturday, generally the 30s and 40s once again, warming slightly for some on Sunday. Monday high temperatures once again getting that temperature gradient, 20s in the north, 50s off to the south. And then once again we'll look at the low temperatures taking it through the weekend. As we wake up today, just about the entire lower 48 below freezing, certainly the entire Corn Belt here, although we did see some mid-30s there across parts of the Dakotas. Waking up tomorrow morning, temperatures generally once again in the 20s across the Corn Belt, starting to moderate in some areas Sunday morning. Looking at our Monday morning lows, this is where we're starting to see a push of maybe some warmer air in advance of a shot of cooler air. This is what I'm talking about, days that may be a few degrees warmer, getting closer to average before another shot of cooler air. So overnight lows in the 30s and 40s in the central and eastern Corn Belt Sunday night into Monday morning. Same story for the day Tuesday. Get another shot of cooler air, though, dropping things down into the teens across the Dakotas and upper Midwest by the time we get to Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the evolution of the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Monday morning ag forecast video. I'll be back to check in on the Corn Belt region on Tuesday. Have a great day and a wonderful weekend.